Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. Hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good wherever you are. Guys, as always, give the like button a smash. Share the videos. The algorithm's down at the minute, of course, because I haven't made that many videos or as normally as I normally used to, and you guys know the situation why. But yeah, so give the like button a smash so we can get back to where we were prior. Share all the videos, whether it's a Wilder Fury video, whether it's a Canelo Plant video. Share all the videos, like all the videos, smash the like button on all the videos, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed, and yeah, let's get back to normality. Let's get back to doing what we guys do best. And I will, like I said, I've said it in the previous video, I will start the lives as well. Maybe I'll do one tomorrow. Let's get talking about boxing. Let's talk about I know I haven't done a live since the Joshua fight, and I really want to do a live about the talk about the Joshua situation, because we haven't spoke about it. We haven't done a live for ages, like since it's been about 2 weeks. I think the last time we did a live was when Canelo and Plant got into it in that press conference. That was the last live we did. After that, we haven't really done a live. So yeah, there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to discuss, and we will definitely discuss it. We definitely will discuss everything that we need to discuss. But I wanted to talk about in this video, Canelo and Plant. George Groves made few comments to Radio Raheem on Seconds Out, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I feel like George Groves kind of sees the situation the same way that I see it. George Groves believes that Caleb Plant will be Canelo Alvarez's toughest fight at super middleweight. And I kind of see it the same way. I really rate Caleb Plant, and I think George Groves really rates Caleb Plant. Let's not forget, George Groves is somebody that was a super middleweight. So when you're a super middleweight fighter, you know who the other top fighters are in your division. You keep an eye out on all the other top contenders, because you may get in the ring with him one day, because he's a top fighter. So George Groves would know a lot about Caleb Plant, and he would have kept a close eye on Caleb Plant, because George Groves was a champion, and then he ended up losing to Callum Smith. But there was a possibility, who knows, if he had beaten Callum Smith, he could have faced a Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant also went back and forth with James DeGale. I'm pretty sure George Groves would have had a close eye on that, because we know George Groves and James DeGale have history. So George Groves making the comments that he made, I find very fascinating, because like I said, George Groves was a super middleweight fighter, and he would have kept a very close eye on Caleb Plant. And me, myself, I actually rated Caleb Plant when I first... And I know Caleb Plant's performances have kind of gone down since he's become champion, and people haven't been as impressed. But when I first saw Caleb Plant on the Pacquiao-Thurman undercard against Mike Lee, I was very impressed. And George Groves said the same thing about Caleb Plant. Fast hands, fast feet, and he's a very, very fast fighter that could cause Canelo a lot of trouble. And I kind of agree with George Groves that this is going to be Canelo Alvarez's toughest. I know a lot of you don't, and a lot of you don't agree with it. A lot of you think that Caleb Plant's going to be a walk in the park. I don't see it like that, and I've never seen it like that. And I think some of you are underestimating Caleb Plant just because of certain performances you've seen recently, which makes you think that I think that this guy's not going to last long. He's not that great. Billy Joe was a tougher. I think you guys are underestimating Caleb Plant. And don't get me wrong, Caleb Plant hasn't looked that great of late, but there was an X factor that I saw in Caleb Plant when I saw Caleb Plant fight against Mike Lee. He had really fast hands, really, and George Groves mentioned this, very, very fast hand. He has X factor. And he has the kind of style that could cause Canelo a lot of trouble. With the fast hands, in and out movement. Remember when Amir Khan fought Canelo? I know you guys are going to say, well, Amir Khan's so much more faster than Caleb Plant. And you guys are right, he is. However, Caleb's a lot bigger than Khan. You know, he'll be able to absorb a shot. That's going to be key as well. I'm not by no means saying that I think Caleb is going to win this fight, because George Groves also said the same thing. That's why I said me and George Groves had the same viewpoint on this. That's why I'm mentioning George Groves, because George Groves said that I'm not picking him to beat Canelo, and I'm not picking Caleb to beat Canelo. But I think it's going to be his toughest fight, and I think it's going to be a lot tougher than what people think it is. Think it is going. I think people think it's a walk in the park for Canelo. I don't think it is. I think this is going to be a lot tougher than what people think. I think Caleb's style is going to cause Canelo a lot of issues. But I think Canelo will overcome those issues and beat him. I just think Canelo will. I think how I believe Canelo will win the fight is I think Canelo will start targeting the body. He'll start slowing him down. Just like he did with someone like Amir Khan. The difference is that Caleb will take longer, in my opinion, because Caleb will have to be broken down, because Caleb's a bigger guy. He'll be able to absorb more punishment. So I think Caleb is gonna definitely cause Canelo issues. Caleb has good feet as well. It's just whether, like I said, is whether he can keep that up for 12 rounds. I think that's going to be important for Caleb. If he wants to be successful, he needs to basically be round 1 to round 12. He's going to have to be on point. You know, he can't afford for Canelo to be landing big shots on him. If Canelo's landing big shots on a consistent basis throughout the fight, then the fight isn't going to last 12 rounds. But if Caleb Plant is able to avoid the big shots, the big punches, head shots and body shots, because even if Canelo's landing big body shots, that's going to suck a lot of air, that's going to put water in the basement, as Teddy Atlas says, and it's going to slow Caleb down. And if Caleb slows down, his legs aren't as mobile, then he's going to become a static target. And then Canelo's superior boxing IQ, his experience at much higher level, then Caleb will take over, because then Caleb will just stop. Canelo will just start picking him off, and you don't want to start getting picked off, because Canelo, he's not a tip-tap fighter. He's a guy that really hits and hurts you, So Caleb's going to have to be on his toes. He's going to have to be in great physical condition. I think the problem that Caleb may have, which a lot of these guys have, is that have they got the power to keep Canelo off? I don't think Caleb has the power to keep Canelo off, and that's a big issue. That's a big problem. If you don't have power, it's very difficult to win the fight, and that's another reason why I don't see Caleb winning, because he just simply doesn't have the power. Yeah, he has a style that will cause Canelo issues, because he's got fast hands, fast feet, and he's a big super middleweight. And this is something else that George Groves mentioned, that he's a big super middleweight. Let's not forget, I know Callum was a big super middleweight, but Callum didn't really fight the way Caleb's going to fight. You see, and Billy Joe isn't a big super middleweight. Billy Joe is a small super middleweight. Billy Joe is a middleweight. Caleb Plant is much bigger than Billy Joe, much bigger. And Caleb Plant has much faster hands than Billy Joe. Believe me, he has much faster hands. I've seen Billy Joe's career. I've seen Caleb Plant's career. And Caleb Plant's hand speed is far superior. The guy that I saw against Mike Lee, that guy definitely has the fastest hands in the super middleweight division. Someone said that, Canelo has faster hands. Canelo has really fast hands. He does. Has he got faster hands than Caleb Plant? I don't think so. Caleb Plant has really fast hands. That just because you have fast hands doesn't mean that's the be all or end all. There's been fast guys with really fast hands that have ended up losing to guys with not very, because at the end of the day, timing beats speed, as they say. But I do agree with George Groves. I think this is going to be a very tough fight. I think Caleb has attributes that is going to cause Canelo issues. I just think Canelo's eventually going to offset those attributes that Caleb has and get to him late. I don't see this fight going the distance. I see Canelo stopping Caleb Plant probably round 7 to 10. But if it does go the distance, you know, it could be interesting. It could be very interesting. The fight could become very exciting. The fight could become maybe worrying for Canelo. You know, it may get like, you know, a Lara situation where, you know, Canelo needs to start picking it up. Because like I said, Caleb Plant definitely has the ability and attributes to win rounds against Canelo Alvarez. And we know that if the fight's close, Canelo's going to get a lot of criticism if, you know, he ends up getting a decision. So I don't think Canelo would want this. I think Canelo's main aim is to win, but I think Canelo's going to want to make it emphatic. I don't think Canelo's going to want to leave this to chance, or he's going to want this to be close, because there's been a lot said, there's been a lot of bad blood, there's been a lot of back and forth. And there's no way Canelo Alvarez wants this to be a close fight. Canelo wants to go in there and do a job on Caleb Plant. We all know that Canelo really wants to go and knock this guy out because of the things that have been said back and forth. So Canelo for me is going to be going in there and he's going to be looking to do a job. Simple as that. You know, Canelo's not going to want this to go to the judges. Canelo wants to win this fight by knockout. He wants to put a beating on Caleb Plant. You know, and because of the things that Caleb has said, there's been a lot of bad blood. So this is Canelo's going to want to do a serious job on Caleb Plant. So that I believe that's going to bring the best out of Canelo. All the back and forth. I think that's going to bring a much more. Canelo's going to be very motivated, and I don't think Canelo needs to be more motivated. This is a history fight anyway, because this is a fight which you can create history by becoming the first Mexican undisputed champion. So that in itself is a big motivation to Canelo anyway. On top of that, there's been a lot of bad blood, so that Canelo's going to be motivated even more so, because he's going to want to beat up Caleb Plant. So I can't wait for this fight. I think this is going to be very, very exciting. I think Caleb Plant's style is going to bring out the best in Canelo. I think you're going to see Canelo struggle a little at spots, you know. But I think what Canelo will show is how great he is, because he'll overcome against those struggles and he'll win the fight, in my opinion. So I see this fight being a late stoppage. I don't know how you guys see it, but I see this fight. I won't be surprised if Caleb wins first couple of rounds, or, you know, wins out of 10 rounds. I believe Canelo, by the time I believe the stoppage will come, I think Canelo will be kind of getting ahead of Caleb anyway. Like, similar to Billy Joe. I never felt like Billy Joe was ever ahead in the Canelo fight. I always felt Canelo was ahead. I know some people had it a draw. Some people even had Billy one. I don't know what they were watching. I never really had Billy Joe ahead at any point in that fight. You know, he was always behind. I felt like Billy Joe was always chasing that fight, and Billy Joe, for me, in order to win that fight, had to get ahead. And he never did that. He never got ahead. He was always behind. He was always chasing the fight for me. Caleb, if Caleb has the similar start to Billy Joe, he's got no chance. If Canelo gets ahead and Canelo wins the first couple of rounds, you've got no chance. You need to get ahead like Amir Khan did against Canelo. You need to be ahead in the fight for you to win. Because that's when you'll have someone like Canelo panic a little bit. Not to say he will panic, he's so experienced now. But I think that's what you've got to do. You've got to get ahead and make Canelo chase the fight. Make Canelo make mistakes. Make Canelo get reckless. But that's just my take. What do you guys think? Do you agree with George Groves that this will be Canelo Alvarez's toughest fight at super middleweight? Leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think, guys, in the comment section below. And guys, remember to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.